Let's Science is brought to you by the StarQuest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit sqpn.com/give.
3, 2, 1.
We live in a universe of scientific wonders.
Every day, scientists are inching towards breakthroughs which can change our lives.
We're playing our small part in sharing these wonders with you.
That's why today is a fine day for science.
So let's science.
All right, Caroline. So, bring back the Tassie Tiger. Is it thylacine or thylacine?
Thylacine, yes.
All right, bring back the thylacine.
Thylacine, yes.
I know that Jimmy Akin has talked about this sometimes on Mysterious Worlds.
He did talk about it.
He refers to it sometimes. But Caroline, let's hear your take on bringing back the Tassie Tiger. Go for it.
All right, so the Tasmanian tiger was a real animal, okay, not like the drop bear. That one of the previous episodes of Mysterious World. So this is really interesting. This is the idea of bringing back a species that's gone extinct back to life, okay? So the steps are being taken by the University of Melbourne to attempt to bring back the Tasmanian tiger from extinction. The reason they can do this is because they've recently been given a $5 million philanthropic gift, which they're going to use to establish the Thylacine Integrated Genetic Restoration Research Lab, or TIGR for short, TIGRR for short. The aim will be to develop technologies to potentially bring back species from extinction, but also to help safeguard other marsupials and mammals from becoming extinct as well. Unfortunately, in Australia, over the past 200 years, at least 39 mammal species have become extinct in Australia. And I'm sure that we haven't heard of a lot of those, right?
That's what to say.
Unfortunately, there's been a lot of deforestation, bushfires, drought, mining. Australia's been ravaged quite a lot by natural and unnatural processes. And obviously this has an effect on, the animals living in the environment.
Yeah, to the point where even koalas are under threat now as well.
Koalas are under threat
who would have
too.
thought koalas?
Well, we had massive bushfires, and that really has ripped through their habitat, especially on places like Kangaroo Island. There were big parts of the Blue Mountains in New South Wales ravaged. These are places we hadn't heard of big bushfires before.
That's right.
So, yes, they are under threat now, which is really sad.
You can mess with a lot of things, but don't mess with our drop bears, all right? Don't touch them.
We love those bitey
we
things.
do.
Bitey furry animals. Yes. So the thylacine was a carnivorous marsupial which was widespread throughout Australia. And if you can imagine like maybe almost like a dog sort of, almost, very small with, kind of a tan colour, stripes down its back. That's why it's called a tiger, Tasmanian tiger. And yeah, the marsupial, amazing animals, marsupials, they have little pouches and, like kangaroos, and they feed their babies with milk in their pouch.
That is so cool. It's so easy.
Yes. Monotremes are even more amazing because they lay eggs and they're mammals. But anyway,
Wow.
That's Australia. So by the time Europeans arrived in Australia in the 18th century, think Captain Cook, 1788 and all, colonisation happening, the Tassie tiger was already confined to Tasmania. So by then it wasn't really on the mainland. Unfortunately, the newcomers, the colonists, shot the tiger into extinction through hunting. The last animal died in captivity in 1936. However, all is perhaps not lost because some thylacine babies were taken from the mother's pouches back in the day when, I guess that still happens, take a sample of an animal. But they were taken back in the day and preserved in alcohol and kept in the Melbourne Museum. And in 2017, scientists from Melbourne University were able to use these specimens and actually sequence most of the genome of the Thylacine babies. And this was quite a huge breakthrough, which will give scientists now the blueprint on how to make a thylacine.
Wow.
So there are 3 ways the project could potentially help to preserve the mammal and marsupial species. And, we've heard of some of these. So like cloning, in which you actually need the cells of the animals, or a full set of chromosomes. So
I've
you
seen
can
Star Wars and
replicate.
how it works. Yep.
Yeah, of course you do. Backbreeding, which is a kind of selective breeding to produce characteristics, sorry. But obviously these two methods are no good for the thylacine, as we don't have any actual thylacines alive. So since there is mostly intact genetic sequence for the thylacine available, the Tiger team hope to use genetic engineering to make some thylacine babies. Now, is it that easy? So I'm going to read from the ABC News article, which explains pretty well.
Well, according to Jurassic Park, it's very easy.
Well, obviously they're very advanced and have done it already.
Yeah.
Yes. But anyway, so here's some reality for you. So
Here we
now
go.
that we've sequenced the genome, what next? So does that mean we are ready for de-extinction? Not so fast. When animals die, their DNA becomes fragmented or broken up into shorter strands. The more deteriorated an animal's DNA, the more likely it is to be in many pieces. Genomics researcher Tom Gilbert from the University of Copenhagen explains it is similar to a book that's been put through a shredder. Your goal is to put the book back together, but you don't have any reference for what it's supposed to look like when you're done. You know the order of the words in the fragments, but not the order of the fragments in the book. So then researchers think they can use the complete genome of a closely related living species as a kind of template to figure out how the pieces of the extinct genome fit together. And luckily we do still have quite a few marsupials that are closely related to the thylacine. So in this case, the living species would be the numbat. So the numbat is a little
numbat. Yes.
Wow.
a cute little thing, runs around,
Yeah,
possum
looks pretty
size, I
cool.
guess, about that size. Also got some little stripes on its back, carnivorous little thing. Don't pick one up.
Has to be carnivorous, doesn't it? Welcome to Australia, everyone.
Yes, carnivorous marsupials.
I'm cute, but I have teeth.
Yes, don't ever pick these things up. They're gorgeous, but they'll give you a good bite.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's estimated that 95% of the numbat's DNA is the same as the thylacine.
Ah.
And earlier this year, a group called DNA Zoo Australia, based at the University of Western Australia, completed a chromosome-length 3D genome map of the numbat's genome.
Wow.
We have been trying to build the base which will enable the genetic rescue of existing species. So it also makes it possible to bring back the extinct thylacine. The idea is that they can first line up the matching 95% of the two species DNA and then work out where the remaining 5% of the thylacine DNA fits into the puzzle. So if this can be done by finding short lengths of matching base pair sequences, which might indicate a starting point where a longer fragment that has varied enough through evolution can slot in. If they can map the complete thylacine genome, a process called CRISPR, which kind of builds up the DNA, can be used to alter the DNA in a numbat cell to code for the thylacine. And apparently this has already been used to start making a new woolly mammoth, bringing back the woolly mammoth.
Wow.
Yes. So,
Oh, wow. I didn't know about that. That's, oh my goodness.
Yes. I actually watched a documentary on this a while ago. It's pretty interesting because they have found intact woolly mammoths.
They have.
Preserved.
That's right.
Yes. Which
preserved in ice. Yeah.
Yes, amazing. So,
What about a saber-toothed tiger? I wonder if we could.
if you had something preserved, you could
I'm just thinking about all
potentially.
my childhood animals. Sorry.
Yes, yeah.
What about a sloth? No, wait, that's Ice Age. Hang on, sorry.
We'll get to this anyway. So, through the process, they've actually been able to identify genes that they believe define most significant woolly mammoth traits like long hair and a raised forehead, and they've already started the process. And they're hoping that by 2027 they'll have like a woolly mammoth elephant hybrid. So
No way.
that would be
Oh my
amazing.
goodness.
Yeah.
Goodness
Yeah.
me. Oh,
So-
wow.
Back to the thylacine, hopefully, using once they've, able to make up the full code, and then using, biotechnology processes and technologies, eventually, hopefully, they'll be able to make some kind of, an embryo and implant it into a surrogate mother. And they're thinking, they're still studying what kind of surrogate mother species they could use. And they're thinking maybe the Dunnart or Tassie devil. Dunnart is like this little rat or mouse, type animal. It's also very bitey.
Yeah, it has teeth, yep.
Yeah. So hopefully with some more research and improvement in the technology, scientists will be able to bring back the thylacine, which would be amazing. And they actually expect that this kind of process that they've started will be really commonplace in about a decade's time. So, so this is really the beginning of the technology. They've come a really long way, as we've read with the woolly mammoth. And so we could see a Tassie tiger come back in who knows, in the next, couple of decades maybe, and would be really cool. Imagine all the species that we've lost that potentially, we could bring back. So I just thought I'd put it out there too, guys. What animals, I think we kind of started that. Would you like, what's your favorite thing that you'd like to bring back? Like, what animal would you love to bring back?
Only out of sheer curiosity, the dodo.
Oh, yes, that's a good one.
Hunted
That's a
to
good
extinction in Mauritius, yeah. So
Yeah.
out of sheer curiosity, I would just like to see a living dodo and see
That's
what,
a good one.
something I could probably relate to as well. But, but I'd
There's
definitely.
a more
yeah.
bird from New Zealand, which is quite similar, that's been hunted out of extinction. It was very large, kind of bit more like a cassowary type bird.
I guess
sort
it
of.
was.
Oh, cassowary.
Almost like
Yeah,
that.
okay. So when
They
you
were
said that, I was
quite
being
big
danger.
and meaty, yes.
Whoa.
But I love the woolly mammoth idea, and obviously dinosaurs. But I don't know if that's a realistic thing.
The
Wow.
Lino,
cassowary
what are
is
you?
just
Yeah.
a velociraptor in disguise. Let's be honest. Yeah,
it's
the only thing
true.
it doesn't have is teeth. All right,
That's right. I mean, I have 2 dinosaurs in my backyard, my little chickens.
Little chickens, yeah.
Look, if you own chickens, there are some noises they make, which you just think there's this particular squawk they do, which
Yeah.
is, look, that's a dinosaur sound.
That's
I'm
dinosaur.
sorry. It's
I
not
will have to
roaring, but
listen
it's
to that.
a dinosaur. Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
definitely have to listen to that because our next door neighbours have 4 chickens.
Listen
It's
out
cute.
for them.
It's
yeah.
cute. I will. It's cute. It's cute.
Yeah. Yeah.
For myself, Caroline, I think I'm in the same vein as the Tasmanian Tiger.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was always seeing pictures of it and I think one time I asked Dad, "Hey Dad, is there a Tasmanian Tiger in Tassie?" He goes, "Son, they're all gone." I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh,
It's so sad,
okay."
isn't it?
It's like, that's actually for me. It is a Tasmanian Tiger.
Yeah.
Dinosaurs, like everyone else. Oh,
You know what? Dinosaurs would
I
be
don't
cool,
know.
wouldn't it? But
It will
It's the ultimate,
be.
really.
yeah,
It is the ultimate, but I think we've seen too much Jurassic Park and just the what's it called, the theory of it. It's gonna go iffy.
It might not be a good idea, but it would be
Yeah.
super cool.
it was.
It will
But
be
you know
super
what?
cool.
There's 6 movies, right?
Mm.
And in each movie, you know how it's going to go.
Exactly.
Man meets
I think-
dinosaur.
Yeah.
Man loses to dinosaur. Man has to run away. You
Man
know,
gets eaten by
every movie.
dinosaurs. Yeah.
And in fact, the next movie that's coming out, the 6th one, is just basically dinosaurs dominating the world. It's even called Jurassic World Dominion.
I like
that.
Well, it's all of them, both the movies that are the new set and the older set
Yeah.
because Sam Neill's back. Of course, Sir Richard Attenborough can't be there. Because
Yes.
Oh no, not Richard. Is it
No,
Richard?
David.
David.
No.
No. David's still alive.
No.
Sorry, Sir Richard Attenborough.
yeah.
Yeah. He
But
comes back.
it's the old and new coming together,
Yeah.
which seems to be the same thing for every movie. But anyway, that's part of the entertainment section.
Yes, yeah.
But
But
here's some-
you knew when you started this that this was going to turn into
I
a
know,
Jurassic Park
but look,
chat. yeah.
Sorry,
Here's
Caroline,
another bit more
sorry.
extrapolated thinking, in terms of what you would do in science class. So we picked what animal, what would we like. But now just say, for example, you did make a new dinosaur. Would it have the instincts that a dinosaur back in the day had to eat? Like, would it be enough of a dinosaur, like, to know that it's carnivorous and it's it wants to hunt and all of that. Isn't that interesting? Like, how even a thylacine, like how would it know it's a thylacine? You
And
know?
Exactly.
Yeah, this was, and again, sorry to bring up Jurassic Park, but on a serious point, the Jurassic World movies were kind of hinting at this. Is like, we've made these creatures, but are they really dinosaurs? They're not the dinosaurs that lived, millions of years
That's
ago,
right.
So are they really dinosaurs? Was the question that the movie was kind of in one of its themes getting at, and it's the same deal. Like you were just saying, like if we made a thylacine, as cool as it is, would it be a thylacine, or would it just be something that's been, for lack of a better word, programs, through
Genetically
genetic
altered,
engineering,
genetically manipulated, engineered, Interesting, isn't it though?
It is.
Yeah.
Can you do that, Caroline? Can you? What's the DNA? It's been.
I mean, they're
put
trying.
in,
They've
yeah.
got 95% of the sequence, which is quite a lot. But 5% is still a lot, like to fill in, and they have to get. I mean, I doubt they'll. I mean, I can't say I doubt, but how do you know they're going to get that last 5% perfect? Like, is it going to be as it actually was in the last 5%? Maybe if they could get DNA from a few different ones and fill in the gaps that way. I mean, it mentions 95%. I think they just got it from one, but I'm not sure if they got it from more. So I guess there's more work there, but hopeful and quite interesting. So I'd be keen to see, even if it's mostly a thylacine, I think that would be amazing.
Oh, definitely.
And imagine they're reintroducing them to the environment again. I mean, you'd still have a mostly thylacine back in nature, which would be cool.
Yeah. In terms of, so I can see advantages in things like, especially for animals that might have been hunted by humans
Yes.
out of existence, and the effects that has on biodiversity.
Yeah,
Obviously,
the
those
ecosystems,
which is so important as well.
Yeah.
When we take something out or add something in, if we're not
Yeah.
careful about it, it can actually upset everything. So,
It does.
and that's not the scientific way of putting it, but you know what I mean.
No, you're right though.
So,
It's balance,
yeah,
and
balance.
every species has a specific role in the ecosystem to play. So,
Yeah.
Tasmania is quite not remote, but it's a lot of it's untouched. And if you
Yes.
could kind of reintroduce it into where it sat before, I don't know what kind of a balance has gone out because of the thylacine leaving, but perhaps, if you reintroduce it, some kind of balance would be restored.
Yeah, and there's even
yeah.
the ethics of reintroducing something back into the environment and the effects it could have on human lives as well.
True.
Because, so as we know that the food chain or, biodiversity affects, it can affect the local environment, even the global environment possibly, and how that could affect the day-to-day living of human beings. And I'm not like the extreme, like animals coming after us, but what I mean is just could it affect, for example, a food source or the way that we farm, for example, for example, introducing, dogs into particular settings, created this situation where now in Australia, for example, we have wild dogs that affect farms and affect farm animals and, hunts farm, so the introduction or reintroduction, I guess they would have to balance the idea of how would this ultimately affect human lives? Because as cool as it would be to see a thylacine or a woolly mammoth or even a dinosaur, that there's also the effect on the local community and the global community, I guess, that would need to be thought about too.
Number one, reintroducing a cute thing back into the environment, tick for me.
That's a tick for me too. Yeah.
But I mean, like in the case of, say, a thylacine where it was in the habitat before, I mean, just say now, we've got more introduced species like cats and rats and things like that we don't particularly want in the natural habitat because they do disrupt the natural ecosystem quite a bit. Perhaps a carnivorous animal like the thylacine would be helpful and just go eat them up and,
Snack time.
and then maybe other species who are in decline may reemerge, and their populations grow larger. So there are possible, advantages as well. It's really fun to think about though, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And in fact, you know what? I'd like to hear what our people who are listening would have to say on Discord.
Yes,
sqpn.com/Discord. Sign up today.
I would love to hear more of this discussion.
All right. Thanks so much for that, Caroline. I really enjoyed that topic.
Let's Science is brought to you by StarQuest Media and is a fortnightly podcast that brings you the scientific wonders of our universe from a distinctly Catholic point of view. For more from Caroline, Lindsay, and friends, listen to the StarQuest show, Catholics of Oz. Find links from today's show at sqpn.com/science and find the Catholics of Oz at sqpn.com/Oz. Be sure to follow the show in Apple Podcasts, Google Play, wherever you can find podcasts, or on the SQPN YouTube channel. The generous donations of our patrons at sqpn.com/give make it possible for us to continue Let's Science and all the shows at StarQuest, which makes our nonprofit mission possible. You can join them by visiting sqpn.com/give. Join us next time for more scientific wonders, and thank you for listening to Let's Science on StarQuest.